Guys, let's bring him in. Kind enough to give us a couple of minutes here. Mike Tannenbaum, former general manager of the New York Jets,
Mike T.
Miami Dolphins, ESPN, NFL insider, Braylon's guy, Mike Tannenbaum. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
You know, I know you think that I'm doing you a favor, but it's really the other way around. I am proud to announce that my daughter is going to be a freshman at none other than the University of Michigan. So I'll have a lot of street cred doing this. So hopefully we're recording this. She's at school right now, but we're all about Go Blue right now, Braylon.
Mike T, man, I appreciate that. It's always good to hear, man. Hear that Go Blue roll off somebody's lips. I appreciate it, Mike T. How have you been, man?
It's great, and I'm really excited to be with you and Braylon. You know, I've been a big fan of yours, what you did on the field, and obviously what you're doing now off the field, and no surprise to see you're doing as well as you are.
Ryan Davis, also known as Ryan Johnson, told me to tell you hello. She was down there with you in Miami. She told me to tell you hello, and she's watching now, so a little shout-out from Ryan.
That's great. Good to hear from her as well.
Great stuff. Hey, Mike, let me get into it. First of all, again, thanks for coming on with us. Braylon speaks so glowingly of you, and we were begging him to get you on the show one day. So finally, he did. But I want to talk to you about the Detroit Lions in the NFL draft that's coming up. The number 2 spot, what are some of the conversations that are going on right now amongst teams in that top 5, in that top 10, when you're deciding whether or not to take a player that you really like, trade out of the pick? What is happening inside an organization right now that has a high pick in this draft?
You know, the Lions are looking for someone not too much dissimilar to what the Cleveland Browns looked at when they saw Braylon Edwards, someone who's a real force multiplier. Braylon was a great receiver, but he was also a great blocker. He brought a lot of toughness, and because of that, he was somebody that brought a lot to the table well beyond just being a receiver, and that's exactly what the Lions are doing now. I was part of the group that hired Coach Campbell in Miami, and he's somebody that believes in toughness and passion, and, you know, obviously the natural fit there is Aiden Hutchinson, you know, played 30 minutes down the road in great Ann Arbor, Michigan, and not only would Aiden Hutchinson be a great player in terms of, you know, 10 sacks, 14 sacks, that'll take care of itself, but his sort of like infectious play tempo, who he is, he's a guy that really fits Coach Campbell's model. I think what's so fascinating about this draft, Jacksonville's sitting at 1. You could put a really good argument that, hey, they should take Evan Neal, the great tackle from Alabama, but you could also make an argument that they should take Hutchinson. So Detroit will get a great player. I think Hutchinson's the best fit possible. And maybe if he's not there, maybe they trade back a little bit. You know, last year they took Penei Sewell, the talented tackle from Oregon. So I think they could go in a number of different directions.
Mike, I have talked myself into 5 different players at number 2, and I've talked myself out of 20 different players at number 2. Does that happen in the room as well? You know, with your high-level staff, does that happen where you just talk yourself in and out of players?
You know, guys, I used to say that our plan was firmly etched in pencil. I remember my very first draft as a GM, we were picking at 4, and Coach Mangini, Eric Mangini, was our head coach. And I'm like, you know, there's absolutely no way that Reggie Bush will be there at 4, but we should be prepared for that conversation. And the night before the draft, at that point, the draft was on a Saturday, and late Friday night, it comes across the ticker that the Houston Texans reach agreement with Mario Williams. And it's like, oh my God, like, Reggie Bush really may be there for now. He wound up going to the Saints, and we took the Brickashaw Ferguson, and we were very happy with that pick. Point being is, what's so much fun about the draft, guys, is it's the world's biggest poker game. Nobody really knows what the person to their left or right is going to do, and you really need to be prepared. And it's amazing because here we are, you know, you would think Detroit would have incredible certainty in terms of, like, who will be there, but, like, given this year, given that they have a quarterback, given the fact that there aren't great quarterbacks in this year's draft, there's more uncertainty than usual.
We're joined by Mike Tannenbaum, NFL insider for ESPN, as well as former Jets GM. When I was there, speaking of poker hands, you know who has a bad poker face? His name was Eric Burkhart. What's going on with the situation with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals?
Very disappointing that he took it public. You know, Braylon, he's 30 days into being extension eligible. And you think about guys like Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield, and Baker's not in the same class. But, hey, let's get through free agency. Let's get through the draft. We can deal with your contract over the summer. You've been a really good player. I can't sit here in good conscience and say that he's been a great player. So I'm a little miffed by the timing. And job 1, 2, and 3 is I call them up and say, hey, look, let's have great discourse. Let's have great discussion. We are not doing this in public. You will never speak publicly about this again, because if you do, we are going to take any offer off the table. That's not how we're going to get our business done. There's a time and a place to handle things. We could disagree. It's not going to be on social media.
Burkhardt has to be fired. Burkhardt has to be fired. Like, I agree or disagree.
Braylon would fire him.
I would fire him now.
If I was his client, I'd say, like, look, you're a good person. You're a good agent. That's not happening again. We are going to have great discourse. We're going to have great disagreement. It's not going to be on social media. Nobody wins when that happens.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, Mike, thanks for coming on the show. Tom Mazaway here. Matt Stafford, obviously, was our number 1 pick years ago. Couldn't win here in Detroit. We're happy for him. He went to the Rams. He's a winner. We get Jared Goff, the number 1 pick of the Rams back in the day. We also have Brad Holmes here, who helped kind of maybe draft that class. Do you think Jared Goff still has tread on the tires? Can he win for this organization?
You know, Maz, here's what I would say about that. I think the verb about the Lions need about the quarterback position is scour. I would keep looking at Goff. I would draft somebody. I may even go sign another younger player, maybe like a Mitch Trubisky, because, you know, we learned this from the great Ron Wolf when he was at Green Bay, which is you just take one a year. Like, they had Favre, but they got Hasselbeck and Aaron Brooks and Brunell. And, oh, by the way, they wound up getting some guy named Aaron Rodgers. And if you look at, like, what Seattle did, they signed a number of quarterbacks like Tavares Jackson and Matt Flynn. Then they took a guy in the 3rd round that couldn't start at NC State, transfers to Wisconsin. His name's Russell Wilson. Yeah. But the point I'm making, Maz, is it was about a mindset. That's why they got Russell Wilson. And if I'm the Lions, my mindset is I'm going to add one every year and then let the best player play.
Braylon and I were on the Mike White train earlier this year. That kid threw for 400-plus yards. Yep. They didn't give him really a chance after that. He threw a couple interceptions. They have their quarterback. Can a Mike White – I mean, that would be a cheap guy to come bring here, and I think he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, he's interesting to me. I mean, I wouldn't if we were trying to, educate our children and feed them based on Mike White's performance.
Uh-oh. There it is. Well,
yeah, if I could throw into the mix, guys, with others, I would. So, I just think the context is everything. If you told me that Mike White's in a 3-way competition with, Hal from North Carolina and Jared Goff, I'm good with that. But just to sit here and say, hey, he's the guy, not so fast.
Got it.
Hey, Mike, you mentioned Russell Wilson. I want to ask you about him because he seems to be like the logical guy to follow in the Tom Brady goes to Tampa, wins a Super Bowl in 1 year. Matt Stafford goes to L.A., wins a Super Bowl in 1 year. Is Russell Wilson that guy this year that could potentially go somewhere else and win a Super Bowl next year?
Yeah, guys, I'll give you the 2 teams. It's the New Orleans Saints and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think those are 2 teams that have championship defenses. And if you pair him with somebody like Russell Wilson, I think they become instant Super Bowl contenders. So I don't know if he fits every team perfectly, but gosh, I think he fits those 2 teams really, really well.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you also, how do you get rid, if you're Seattle, what's that conversation like when you see teams so desperate for a quarterback to decide to get rid of that quarterback that's in the tail end of the prime of his career, if you will? Like, how do you get rid of that guy?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's remarkable, but right now the Seahawks are the 4th best team in the NFC West. I mean, in the last 4 years, San Fran got to a Super Bowl, got to the championship game, you got the world champion Rams. The Cardinals are a good team and went to the playoffs. So to me, what I would certainly be looking at is, hey, we got to rebuild. If we get 3 first-round picks, if Jared Goff went for 2, let's get 3 and let's start our rebuild.
Hey, I got 2 quick questions before we let you get out of here, Mike T. One is, you talked about the Saints, and we agree. They have that defense. They have that championship defense, but they also have $75 million over cap. How do you bring Russell in, who's a huge cap hit, and get him to work in the $75 million over cap team?
Yeah, Braylon, that's a great question. I think a couple of those guys are going to have to graduate. And, to me, I would want to try to hold on to Michael Thomas and Kamara, but maybe an offensive lineman or 2. You may lose a defensive player, but if I can get Russell Wilson, I'm going to make everything else work around it.
There it is. Last question. I mean, this is the guy everybody's been talking about, Aaron Rodgers. What's going on there? I myself am of the mind that he just likes the attention. He likes drama, but he's going to stay in Green Bay. What do you think Green Bay does, or do they even need to bring him back?
I think they do. I think they're a championship with him. I think they're okay without him. And I don't know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, Braylon, and I think that's what's so interesting. And I'm a little disappointed in Rodgers from a standpoint. There's a lot of his teammates like Preston Smith, Billy Turner, Randall Cobb, who don't have guaranteed money this year. And until his situation's resolved, their situation can't be resolved. So you're saying you're a great teammate. You're saying you care about these guys. Like, let's go. Like, you didn't have to go away for 10 days and fast and do a lot of those other things. Like, you either want to be here or you don't. Like, let's go.
Pen chakra or whatever it's called.
What?
I heard you talking about that on air. Basically, he's full of you know what. Go ahead, man.
Hey, Mike, last one for me, man. From the Giants. I grew up in Jersey. Giants, a Jet fan, Lion, obviously. What are the Giants, man? Saquon Barkley, Danny Dimes. Where do they go? Now, I hear they're not going to pick up the fifth-year option on Dan Jones. What's your take on him?
Yeah, I wouldn't either, because let's learn from the mistake the Panthers made with Sam Darnold. They got Sam. It didn't work out. Now they're on the hook for $18 million. If Daniel Jones plays great, they can always franchise him. So, again, very similar verb to the Lions. I would keep Daniel Jones. I'd probably add somebody in the mix. I'd try to add another offensive lineman or two if I could. I like Barkley. I like their young skill players, Evan Ingram, Kadarius Toney. So I like Daniel Jones. He has to play a lot more consistently.
Amen.
The great Mike Tannenbaum. Follow him on Twitter at Real Tannenbaum, ESPN. Watch him there. And, of course, man, oh, man, so great to have you,
definitely.
Mike, here. Best of luck to your daughter at the University of Michigan.
Go Blue.
You got 2 U of M grads and a reason why he moved to Michigan from New York, New Jersey, because his love for the University of Michigan.
I just want to say, like, I would be happy to come back on, but the next time I come back on, I want to be introduced as incoming freshman, father of Ella Tannenbaum. So
You got it,
that's
man.
Mike, last question. Is our parking spot still there in Florham Park? Do we still have a parking spot?
I think we've been moved out to the wayside, my friend.
I think it's been gone. Mike, I really appreciate this.
I heard Braylon beat you for that spot.
I can't confirm nor deny that.
I want to incentivize bet.
Mike, thanks so much. We'll watch out
Thanks, Steve.
ESPN.
Appreciate it.
No, you got a hit coming up. Thanks so much. That was great, man.
No, it's great. It's always great to be in it. You get goosebumps sometimes, or goose pimples, as you like to say.
Yep.
You know,
How do you not?
How do you not?
Because when you see former teammates or you see a former GM, like, you instantly go to those places. You know, we had Damian Woody on here. I instantly went to Chatham, New Jersey. I instantly went to back-to-back AFC. When I saw Tannenbaum is the guy that brought me in to New York. He bought me in. He traded for me. He asked Rex Ryan. He said, "Yo, Rex, man, like, you know, we need a receiver. What do you think about Braylon Edwards?" And Rex said, "Hey, man, I've been going against him for 4 years because he was with the defensive coordinator for the Ravens." So Rex was like, "Hell yeah, let's get him." They brought me in, and so it's always good, man. It's goosebumps.
What do you think, Mike? What do you think of what Mike said about the Lions?
It's just some great stuff, man.
Keep drafting a quarterback till you get it right.
And isn't that funny that that's something the Lions never
Nope.
did with Matt Stafford?
Think about that.
You know?
No.
I mean, Green Bay
Never.
did it with Brett Favre. They did it with Aaron Rodgers. But the Lions never did it with Matt Stafford.
Nope. Because they were clueless
Right.
in the past.
Right. It take one every year. There's no, just I have to say this about Woodward Sports
Brad
Network
Hall paying attention?
and our show specifically and what Braylon Edwards does for this show. That is NFL insider stuff
At
that
its
you
finest.
cannot get anywhere else. Guy's a 2-time general manager in this league that just gave us 15 minutes. I mean, it's incredible stuff. Kudos to you, Braylon, for bringing him on.
Quick answers.
Great quick answers.
Answered
That's
everything.
just the kind of stuff you get here at the network, and we're hoping everybody jumps on board with it. We're 10 likes away from 200 today.
Oh, we got
as
that.
well. I mean,
Unbelievable. The cool thing about it, I know we got to get to commercial. The cool thing about it is, too, is like how often, and this is one thing that I did before we started the show. It's like, how often have you watched ESPN or you watch Fox, you watch something, and you want to ask certain questions that are specific or relevant for the Detroit Lions, for the Detroit Pistons, for the Red Wings, for the Tigers, but you can't get those answers, but you want those answers from the guys on those TV. So that's one of my missions on the show is like, yo, I want to get the guys they want to hear from.
Yeah.
Danny O.
Yeah.
Dan Orlovsky, Mike Tannenbaum, Damian Woody,
Jay Billis, that was
Adam
big by
Schefter.
you.
Jalen Rose tomorrow, Adam Schefter.
Jalen Rose tomorrow, baby.
You know, I mean, come on.
Come on, man.
Come on.
How do
Come
you
on.
not?
Rob Parker, come
Rob
on,
Parker.
man.
That's that drip.
That's right. Hey, gang, we're going to take a break. Come right back. We are not done yet. Ermanni and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line. On a beautiful Monday as we welcome back the man, Ryan Ermanni.
You are the man. You're the man.
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Woo!
You've reached the end of the video. You know what you should do? Press like. You know you like the content that we have here at Woodward Sports Network. I'm Braylon Edwards from the bottom line. Subscribe to us right now.